A very good morning to you on this Friday. It is Friday, July 28th, 2022, 29th? July 29th, 2022. I seem to be stuck in time. This is Let's Talk About It, heard right here on Q100.7 FM, and you can also check us out on cbc.bb. Wherever you are around the globe, it is indeed a pleasure and a privilege to be in your company. And let me mention, as you know, on Fridays, I have the company of Mr. Olu Warren in studio with us. I like to affectionately call him Uncle Olu. Good morning.
Morning, Kimberly. How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
And it's always a pleasure to be in the company, if I may speak for myself now, of the lady with the golden voice.
Oh, well, I thank
Kimberly
you.
Ski.
I do thank you.
But, Kimberly, I have to confess, I'm not in a good mood.
Tell us what's
today.
wrong. Tell us what really ails you.
Well, I'm thinking about all of those poor souls who went to the great beyond without getting their due from our justice system. You know, people who had cases in our system for 5, 10, sometimes 15 years, Kimberly, without getting a resolution. They died without having justice.
And that is exactly what we are going to be talking about today, amongst other things. On this program, Let's Talk About It. We never prevent you from raising your own issues, but today we want to open with a look at our justice. Olu, I understand that Justice Carlisle Graves has been speaking on this score recently.
Oh yes, I saw some comments he made well, he didn't make them in the press, he was reported in the press. And he was especially concerned about cases involving firearm offenses. Mr. Graves is of the view that speedy justice in firearm cases is one of the major solutions to the plague of gun crime in the country. He says persons accused of firearm offenses should be before the High Court within 3 months of being charged, and that the 5 judges in the criminal assizes are ready to make the sacrifice to get these cases heard, given what is taking place in the country. But, says he, they are frustrated by elements over which they have no control. Justice Graves says there are accused persons who want to plead guilty to their charges, but the cases are stalled as files were not produced by the police in a timely manner. Here's what he said, and I quote, "We have a team of judges here ready to work their fingers, but we need help. The criminal element has no right beating us. They cannot beat us if we are serious. The police have to produce the files quickly, and I guarantee you that if we get those files, those things happening, then we can try men quickly before the guns cool off. The shootings we see across this country are going to be substantially and significantly reduced. I guarantee you that." Now, there's someone who should know all about the justice system and what needs to be done to make it more functional, and that is former Attorney General and former Chief Justice of Barbados, Sir David Simmons.
And I understand that we have Sir David Simmons on the line. Good morning and welcome to Let's Talk About It.
Good morning.
Good morning, Kimberly and Olu.
Good morning.
Good morning,
it's good
Sir
to have
David.
you with us.
And your listeners, yes.
What are your thoughts on what Mr. Justice Graves had to say?
Well, I think he is on the right track. I'm not so sure that all of this, if you took out the firearm offenses and dealt with them up front, that it would necessarily result in an immediate reduction in the incidence of firearm offenses. I think the problem is very, very deep, widespread, and has this problem of delay and backlog has bedeviled jurisdictions all over the Commonwealth. Let us don't single out Barbados. This is a consequence of our system of justice particularly as it is operated in the Commonwealth. Some of it has to do with a lack of resources being given to the justice sector. You know, I used to say that law and order were not sexy topics.
This is true.
Were not the kinds of topics that attracted votes. And it was one of the conundrums, I suppose, of our political history, that we had lawyers as prime ministers, and Premier Sir Grantley, Mr. Barrow, Tom Adams, and Mr. Barrow went so far as to say he would tell people, don't go to the lower courts if you want justice. Remember that famous one?
Yes, I remember that phrase.
But the truth is that when we have had non-lawyers at the apex of our political system, in the prime ministerial position especially, like Mr. Erskine Sandiford and Mr. Owen Arthur, the justice system got better attention and more focused attention and more meaningful attention.
Why do you think this is, Sir David?
Well, because I suppose they, as non-lawyers, were prepared more to listen and not to argue with the legal professionals who were making representations. I mean, as a matter of record, Mr. Sandiford, we used to say in the House, we need a separate court of appeal. It was not right, I put it no higher, even appropriate if you like, that in the days prior to 1990, you had 4 judges in Barbados, and you would be tried by one today and a jury. You didn't like the verdict, and you appealed, and you go to the other 3, and then the next case you did was against one of those 3, and the one against whom you appealed today, he would be sitting on that. So we had what we called in the profession in those days a scratch back court. You scratch my back and I will give a decision. Well, no, it never worked like that, but it gave the appearance of, the possibility for less than transparent justice. That is how I would put it.
I get you.
And it was not right. We called on Mr. Sandiford to create a separate court of appeal, and he did that, so that you had 4 judges in the court of appeal who were separate and distinct from the judges in the High Court. But those are not fundamental problems. Let us get back to the context in which Justice Gray spoke. He said that there were elements over which the judges have no control, and those elements conduce to delay. Now, I suppose the best way I can explain this for your listeners is to let us take the scenario of a situation where a man is arrested today for a gun offense. And let me take you through the system, because what I will submit to you is that the justice system is a set of independent but interlocking institutions, departments, and agencies. So you start with the man who is arrested today. What happens? He is brought to a police station, and he is fingerprinted and photographed and charged. He is going to be taken, the usual thing, they take him out to the area where he found they found the gun and various essential things that the police do are done, and the man is to appear in court, let us say on Monday. When he comes, so you leave the police, your next step with a charge sheet in your hand is to appear before a magistrate. You have a lawyer. The lawyer has had no time to sit down with you and take a full statement, talk about witnesses and how you were treated, but nothing like that. So, from the police to the magistrate's court, the first application that is made is, so I want bail for my client. All right. $20,000, 2 sureties, and the matter is adjourned. So they look at the list now, and the magistrate is confronted now by a list of other cases which are in the system.
Mm-hmm.
So he has to find a date. Let us be generous and say he adjourns it for 4 months.
That is generous.
Well, no, that 4 months. Yeah, we're saying that is generous because it could be 6.
Oh.
Because of the other cases that are in the system that still have not gone, let us say, to the Supreme Court.
Okay.
And of course, there are other magistrates' court cases that the magistrate has to have time to deal with them too.
Mm-hmm.
But this is an offense now that is going to what we used to call sessions, but going to what I call now continuous high court trials, but at the Supreme Court level. So you've had your delay of 3 months. Nothing to do with Justice Graves up in the Supreme Court. When you come now, after 3 months, the gentleman is brought back to court. He's got his bill, he and his sureties turn up. You hear that the police are not ready to start. Why? Can't find the file, or we are still getting instructions from the DPP because the file has either been not lost, but it may be misplaced or misfiled somewhere. But the police can't go on. The lawyer says, well, okay. The lawyer applies for disclosure. Disclosure means that all the evidence that the police have in their file must be copied and given to the lawyer expeditiously. You have read in the papers lawyers complaining it's not as bad now as it was 4 or 5 years and long time before that. Mm-hmm. The system of disclosure has improved, but that is one of the contributors to delay, because those statements have to be copied. But within the police department itself, there are layers of management. So the file will probably begin with the statements of the officers who arrested the man 3-4 months before, but not much else. The file will go to station sergeant or perhaps to the inspector, but they have a bureaucracy within the police, just as there's a bureaucracy in the general public service where the file goes from, the junior person to the AO and the SAO and the deputy permanent secretary and the permanent secretary and ultimately the minister and so on. The police department has a similar but not as expansive bureaucracy. And I'll tell you how we can deal with that. But that is one of the things that contributes to the delay. So when, after a year, this case has not started because you come back to court and they may have found the file, but they can't find a witness, or witnesses on holiday, or witnesses overseas, and they can't proceed. Wow. So all those are delaying the progress of this case and has nothing to do with the judge.
I am still wondering why there isn't a synchronous situation where the information is actually funneled to the requisite departments at the same time, or the requisite levels of bureaucracy that you make mention of. Because in order to have it dealt with at a certain level of alacrity, that would make it easy. If I have a copy and my superior has a copy, etc., we can actually get it done a lot more swiftly. That's one. And two, sources say to me that today we have a system. It is not in place as yet, but again, why it is taking so long to become a part of the system, where the electronic uptake of this information is also synchronous from the police officer at the point of reference straight up to the sergeant, straight up to the commissioner, etc., where all of this is uploaded. Why is it that we can't seem to get that pulled together?
Well, I think they're working on those things. And let me just mention that in 2007, November 2007, we, the judicial, when I was Chief Justice, we had a judicial retreat, 2 days at Colony Club in St. James. And because I recognized then that delays permeated the entire justice system, I invited from the police, private bar, the DPP's office, the probation department, the prisons, the judge, everybody to send representatives to let us look at what could be done to reduce delay in the criminal justice system. And we came up with 102 recommendations, which I have shared with Olu and Sherwood earlier in the week.
Yes, I have a
just
copy
to
of this,
show that we had tackled this,
Yes.
we had looked at this problem. Everybody contributed, and the recommendations touched every department. And we started to analyze those 102 recommendations, break them down into what could be done short term, and that was 6 months. What was medium term was more like 12 to 15. What was long term and required substantial financing and so on was beyond that period. We had 3 meetings of the subcommittee that was dealing with this, chaired by me. At the same time, we were dealing with the civil justice system, which I'm not going to deal with today. We brought the new rules where the judges now take control of the cases and the pace of the litigation is not left to the lawyers. But I got that done with the new rules that were introduced before I left. But then, of course, in 2010, Mr. Thompson didn't think that he should extend my time for 2 more years. So I came home, and the 102 recommendations are there. However, some of them have been, in fact, followed and implemented. One of the things, for example, was we said that magistrates should stop having to convene these sessions for liquor licenses, making people come and stand up in the yard in the sun and the rain just to get a liquor license to have a fet for crop over or whatever it was. And those have been taken away. We recommended abolition of the what was called the preliminary inquiry. That was where if you were charged with an indictable offense, indictable meaning one that is to be tried by a judge and jury. In the old days, you had, as it were, 2 bites at the cherry. You would have a hearing by the magistrate, and the purpose of that hearing was to determine whether there was what was called a prima facie case against you. And if the magistrate found that there was a prima facie case, then in the language of the society at the time, you were turned down for sessions, and you were sent on to grand sessions or the assizes, more appropriately called. So you had a bit of a trial. It wasn't exactly a trial. It was more an inquiry before the magistrate, and then you had the trial. Now, that used to contribute substantially to the delay. We removed that. One of the other things we did was that there used to be the system of assizes, to which I alluded, where every 3 months, January, April, July, and October, you would have these high court hearings. And I abolished the assizes because when we analyze the thing, if we continue to use the system of assizes, that allowed you in a year to have 157 days for trials. On the other hand, if we abolished them and we substituted different dates and had the criminal courts working continuously rather than 3 months and a break and 3 months and a break and so on, you could get an additional 50 more days, 207 trial days as against 157. So, the case for abolishing assizes was clear. And we were able then to make an impact and put a significant dent on the backlog. But of course, the criminal cases keep coming, and they become more and more, especially with the introduction of firearms into this society now. So we got the stage where this case that we have assumed is to go to trial after a year has not gone anywhere because of the adjournments and the position in the file and so on. It may happen that after about 15 months it is ripe for trial. I say ripe for trial because having abolished the preliminary inquiries, that first trial or hearing that I spoke of, you no longer have that. So once the papers are in order, they can be sent forward to the High Court and take the queue. But before you get to the High Court, they have to be sent to the DPP's office for the officers in the DPP to go through that file and see if the evidence is satisfactory. Whatever has to be done, they make the assessments, and that is only one of several that they have to do. And then it goes to the Director of Public Prosecutions, and the indictments are drafted. So now probably getting on for 2 years. Luckily, our man is on bail, so he's not up the road at Dodds. And it may not, obviously the delay will not have the same impact on him as it would have on somebody who is incarcerated. But from the DPP, the indictments are prepared, sent down, and the case will then take its place in the queue to go before the judges. I couldn't tell you how long it would take once those papers have been sent down to the registrar, how soon thereafter it goes before the judge. I would think within 2 or 3 months it should be ready. But you have seen a significant delay because of the various steps that we've gone through with these interlocking but independent departments that I spoke of at the beginning. So you're tried. After you're tried, you are, let us say, found guilty. Well, the matter is adjourned for a sentencing report, pre-sentence report to be prepared by the probation department. And that may take another 3 months. And I'll tell you why there are other problems that we need to highlight. Let us start with the police, because there are manpower problems that also contribute to the delay. The police service does not have an optimum number of police officers. We need to attract more. And you cannot and will not attract more people to the police service until the government takes a conscious decision that the salaries of certain people in this country need a significant increase. Police, I can think of three, and I apologize if I left out anybody, but I can think of the police, the nurses, and the teachers.
Yeah.
Need significant increases. It is a known fact that if you enter the police force now with all of the opportunities to be killed by those out there with guns and so on as a policeman, what you're being offered as a starting salary is $2,700 a month. No, you cannot attract people with good academic qualifications, a commitment to service in one of the essential services in this island with paying that kind of money at entry level. You have to upgrade the police. You have, and I'm not going into the nurses and the teachers and so on, but we have seen the value of all of these people, particularly in the last few years with the impact of COVID. But to get more resources in the police, you have to deal with the question of salaries. Now, later on, I think we have enough judges. I don't think there's any need to increase the judges at this stage. The government has been very liberal. A couple of years ago, I chaired a committee that recommended the appointment of 6 or 7 new judges, and the government accepted those recommendations. Where you need additional bodies is in the computer-aided transcription reporting staff. I started that department, the CAT reporters using, they record verbatim what is said in evidence through special type of machinery. But they are short-staffed. You need more of them, and indeed there should be a concerted effort to have the whole of the magistracy and the judges supported by computer-aided transcriptionists. Probation department pre-sentencing reports take a little longer than is ideal, again because they are short-staffed. So you need more staff there, and of course the DPP's office also requires additional prosecutors. If the work is going to be pushed through the police force faster, because in 2007 Mr. Dotting gave the assurance, recognized the problem of this bureaucracy within the police service, and he gave the assurance, and it is in the recommendations that I spoke of, that they would do some things to make the movement of a file through the system improve significantly, and indeed spectacularly. I can't tell you to what extent they have achieved that, because I haven't been close to it since I have retired. But whatever the police can do to reduce their own bureaucracy would assist. But in all these things, I think I've been able to just sketch for you that it is not the judges who are delaying. They are waiting on the file and the body, the accused, to appear before them.
I have already calculated with you, Sir David, in excess of 15 months before we even got to trial. And what most Barbadians are complaining about is the fact that in those 15 months, when the accused gets bail, they seem to see it fit to go back out and do whatever it is that they want to complete, and I put that in inverted commas, which is again another infraction against the law. It makes the court system feel almost laughable, because there's obviously no fear for the teeth of it.
Because what has happened, what is going to happen at the time of punishment is far removed from what happened at the time of commission of the offense.
Correct.
That gap, the punishment must be as immediate as possible. That's how I would put it, so that the impact of the punishment is appreciated not only by the accused, but more particularly by the victims, where they are victims of a crime. And you know, I don't think we pay enough attention to victims' rights. But I know there are one or two judges who are doing their level best to ensure that victims' rights are recognized and given an opportunity for expression.
Exactly. When we come back, we're going to invite our callers to the program. You can pose your questions to Sir David Simmons. This is Let's Talk About It. We'll be right back.
The public is advised that the TVET Council Barbados would be closed for a staff function on Friday, July 29th. That's today. The council will reopen on Wednesday, August 3rd at 8:15 a.m. The management of the TVET Council apologizes for any inconvenience that may be caused by this closure.
Sunday, July 31st, it's what everyone's talking about. It's the Courtesy Garage, 98.1 The One, Soca Ruction, 8 p.m. at the Kensington Oval. Your favorite artists, door prizes, and pure ruction. Tickets start at $30, available from advertised box offices and ticketlinks.com. Your ticket gives you a chance to win a brand new Hyundai Kona. Compliments Courtesy Garage, but you must be at the event for a chance to win. Get your tickets now before it's too late. Who's it gonna be? The top 20 People's Choice winner, performing live at the Courtesy Garage, 98.1 The One, Soca Ruction, Kensington Oval, Sunday, July 31st.
Commuters who travel on the Bathsheba, Clifton Hall, Flat Rock, Horse Hill, and Martins Bay buses, which begin and end at the Fairchild Street Bus Terminal, are advised that a minor route diversion is currently in place. This is due to ongoing roadworks from Hotherstow Junction to Lairs Roundabout, St. Michael. Buses traveling from Bridgetown will divert along Jackman's Road, turn right onto Lairs Road, and then travel to the Lairs Roundabout, where all of the buses, except for the Flat Rock bus, will turn left and rejoin their usual routes. The Flat Rock bus will travel straight at the roundabout, past Armstrong Agencies, and turn left onto Lower Estate Road to rejoin its usual route. Buses en route to Bridgetown will travel in the reverse direction. MTWW apologizes for any inconvenience caused and thanks the public for its continued cooperation.
She told my family that if I come with her, she would set me up with a nice job.
I believed her when she said I had the legs of a dancer.
I just lost my job down by the construction site, and my children were hungry. I just took the chance.
He said he would clear off my family's bills if I did this one favor. That was over a year ago.
But when I got here, she took my passport.
She didn't even give me what we agreed to.
He never said I would be dancing in the clubs.
They treat us like slaves, but we are people too.
Human trafficking is a crime in Barbados. If you are a victim or know someone else who may be, the Sex Crimes and Human Trafficking Unit of the Barbados Police Service can help. Please call the unit at 430-7332 or 430-7333 or email sexcrimesandtrafficking@rbpf.gov.bb. A message from the National Task Force for the Prevention of Trafficking in Persons, USAID, and the UNDP.
World Day Against Trafficking in Persons will be observed on Saturday, July 30th.
It is now 18 minutes before 10 o'clock, 4341007, 4341070. This is Let's Talk About It. We have Sir David Simmons on the line. Let's invite our first guest to the program. Good morning and welcome. Let's Talk About It. You're on the air.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Sir David. How are you?
I think we're going to try to see if we can conference him back in while you pose your question, but
okay,
go right ahead.
Well, actually, I wanted to, a couple things he spoke about the delay of files and the salaries increasing for police, and I just wanted, because I would speak to him before that, to look at it from the situation where big countries that have so many different courts, prisons, and so on, having the same problem as we in Barbados that just have one prison and one high court, one court of appeal. And therefore, just having, even though we might be a small country, our rate of crime is sometimes to make things on par with capitals in bigger countries. And so my thing this morning is when persons are granted bail, and you could get bail now for murder and other crimes, instead of letting those persons just go about on the street waiting until the case called. I believe this is how the judicial system should look at it, is to have those persons go into a program so that they would not believe that I can do it, get bail, get some time, and do the same thing again.
Yes.
So this person should go in, they should have a rehabilitation center, or you could have a boot camp where these persons are at least 3 to 6 months, to give them, show them that it is not a game that you have dealt with it. If it's murder, you have taken a life, where it may be, I would say, you could say, anyhow, you would have to go through that process where you have to start showing that you are sorry. But if there's nothing, you just go back on the streets and you're back with your same friends that may have encouraged you. Well, then it takes nothing. And as I was told, because I have done a lot of studies, that when a person take the first murder, they could do more afterwards because they have get past that taking the spirit. It does not matter of doing it again.
Can I interrupt you, ma'am?
Yes.
I think you need to take into account the fact that the accused is just that. Accused. He has not been convicted of the crime as yet.
Yes, I know.
So we cannot treat him as though he has done it.
No, I understand that because I work in the system. That's why what I'm saying is...
Yeah, but some of the recommendations you're making would presume that he or she is guilty.
Trial. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not saying you're going to put him, you're not going to incarcerate him. All you're doing, because people are saying that when they get bail, it's just like a walk in the park and they go back out there and do it again. I know a person is innocent until proven guilty. But at the same time, that you don't want that young person to believe that that's the norm. I get bail, and that is what I'm speaking about.
Let us have Sir David. He's actually back with us. Let us have him weigh in on it with you.
Okay.
Sir David, are you back with us?
Yes, I am. Yes.
Good. Go right ahead.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Morning.
Yes.
Morning.
Morning.
I missed your comment, but I think it was to do with giving bail to people who go back and repeat the same kind of offense.
Yes, while they're on bail. What I'm asking, because I'm doing a course, and I'm the only Barbadian. All the others are thinking we are looking at this system whereby the public is saying that when persons are given bail and they're back on the street, sometimes they get themselves back into the same problems with the persons again. So if you could come up with a measure where this person can rehabilitate, you're not taking them off the road, but even if it's for 3 months, for this person to understand you have done something, you have not been tried, but this is what you have to do, so that you could, if you know you do it or whatever, you'll be able to consider, well, I make a mistake and I don't want to go back there again. But the majority of them, like even with drugs, persons get bail and then they get whole again. So this is what I'm saying, to have some camp, well, it may be a boot camp, a rehabilitation process. That's what I'm looking at.
Okay. Sir David?
I don't think you can rehabilitate while the person is an accused.
Exactly.
Because
but I use the word, right, I understand. I don't mean rehabilitate. You have them in prison or whatever. But you're just trying to go through that process helping, because if a person knows full well what it's all about, they might not think again to go and put themselves back into that situation. It's just like a walk in the park for some persons to shoot that person. That's what I'm looking at.
All I would say to that is, first of all, bail is almost a right because it touches the freedom of the individual, in the sense that if you're not given bail, your freedom is curtailed and restricted. The vast proportion of people who get bail do not reoffend during the time that they're on bail. Those who reoffend, who go and commit another drug offense or another firearm offense, or one or two who have been shown to have committed murders, they are a minority. But put yourself in the position of the magistrate, or sometimes the judge if it goes to the high court. You have to make a judgment based on what is advanced to you by both sides before the case has started and the evidence has rolled in. So you are making a judgment on very I don't want to say tenuous. That's not the word I'm trying to find. But on limited evidence. The accused is going to say that he is a breadwinner, that he has 3 children to support, his girlfriend isn't working, his mother has chronic NCDs, and he needs his freedom to continue working. The Crown, they're no longer the Crown. the state lawyers are going to say, well, but he had a conviction 10 years ago for stealing $300. They can't really argue against what he has said, and the magistrate then has to make up his mind. There's nothing more. The test is, the test for bail is whether you are likely to reappear, or put it another way, are you a likely flight risk? If I give you bail, would you run and not turn up when I tell you to come back on the 17th of August?
Exactly.
So those are the kinds of things that are at play that the magistrate has to use his judgment. What I would say is that more often than not now, we should be looking to impose conditions on bail. Now, there's nothing illegal or even oppressive in imposing conditions. You see in your newspaper reports from time to time that the magistrate has not confiscated, taken away the person's passport so that he can't travel. You see that the magistrate has imposed conditions for him to report at a police station once every week. Now, you can tweak those conditions, because reporting to the police station is very important. It means that you are always in the police eye. The police can keep an eye on you. For me, with some of them, they would have to report there 2 or 3 times a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays or something, at different times. Travel documents, yes. Take them and hold them until after the trial. You don't normally give them back unless it is some emergency that the person, your father overseas and he died or something like that. And very, very difficult to get your travel document back. But those are the kinds of things you can do to ensure that the person is kept under surveillance. And we can continue to train the police to see this as a tool in the fight against crime, where they're asked to pay closer attention to the movement of the individual without breaking his right to freedom of movement under the Constitution.
Understood. We have another caller on the line. Good morning and welcome. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, good morning, Kimberly. How are you? How are you, Lord Lou? Morning, Sister David.
Good morning, good morning.
Morning, sir.
Actually, I have so much respect for Sir David. I called to do a poem this morning. But they say when the big boy speak, normally the little fish have to take a back seat. So my question to him, Sir David, going to ask him, were he the President and Attorney General today, what different measures would he have taken? Would he have taken different measures with this thing, or Mr. Marshall is doing quite a credible job?
Well, let me just say that I don't think the society as a whole has an appreciation of the limitations on the power of a contemporary Attorney General. In the old days, when you had Ike Walker, in the colonial days, people like that were Attorneys General. They wielded a tremendous amount of power. Perhaps even more than premiers in those days. Now that has gone. We have a written constitution where people's fundamental human rights are written down and have to be recognized, and they must get respect. One of the rules that is not well known is that an Attorney General cannot give directions to the Commissioner of Police or any police officer for that matter. It is illegal by law. Check the case Queen against Metropolitan Commissioner of Police, ex-party Blackburn, around 1968, around there. Lord Denning laid down that principle. He said that a commissioner, words to the effect that a commissioner of police is answerable to the law alone, not to any functionary. So neither the cabinet nor an individual Attorney General can give directions to the Commissioner of Police or any police officer. I want that clearly understood. It would be dangerous if they could, because could you imagine you don't like somebody, tell the Commissioner of Police, I don't like, he's my opponent, go and arrest him. No. So what the cabinet can do, and through the cabinet, the Attorney General, is to set out policy guidelines and ask the Commissioner of Police to look at these and do something about them. I remember in my time, one of the problems that we had was the delinquent minibus drivers doing as they like on the road.
Why does that sound so past tense, Sir David? It feels very present day to me.
Well, I'm not in any position anymore. I have a little small boat that has to stay close to harbor. I am not in anything anymore. But we were able to send, as a matter of policy, to the commissioner to say that we think that the force should give greater attention to bringing discipline back to the roads, and to continue our efforts on drugs and developing international contacts and so on, that sort of thing. Broad areas. Now, how the Commissioner of Police proposed to respond by implementation, that is to say by action, was left to him. We could not tell him how to do his job. But we could tell him that there were areas which we think, on behalf representing the public, that you should be paying more attention to. So I don't think the Attorney General he will have a lot of information that he gets every day. He gets a daily report, the crime report that the police issue to certain people every day. He will see that. He will be able to talk to the commissioner about trends, what they're picking up, who are the possible or the likely people committing these crimes and so on. But as I said, beyond that, you say when he is speaking as he did a couple of weeks ago, he never said we are going to do this, that, or the other. That would have been it would have been impinging on the role and function of the Commissioner of Police. So the AG is limited to matters of policy, broad policy.
Okay. We have another caller on the line. Let's see if we can take this one before the break. Good morning and welcome. Let's talk about it.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning,
How
sir.
are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good morning to Sir David as well.
Morning, good morning.
You have been very informative.
I am?
You have been very informative, and I'm enjoying what you are saying.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
Yeah. I want to follow on the question, though, raised just now about the Attorney General. Now, we also have a key figure to look at as well. We need to look at the role of the Prime Minister. Over the years, we have had Prime Ministers who have made comments and so on. So we want to find out, can the Prime Minister give directions to the Commissioner of Police?
No way. The Prime Minister, she is in the same position as the Attorney General. She is a functionary in the executive. Of course, she's the head of the executive. And cannot tell him how he is to do his job.
Can there be any reason to appeal to moral suasion of any kind in the relationship between the Commissioner of Police and the Prime Minister?
You mean to find some form of words to get your point across to the Commissioner?
To suggest
that would depend on the mental agility of the Prime Minister.
Or the mental agility of the Commissioner or the police.
Right. No, I wouldn't advocate that. Well, you know me. I am straight down the middle. And what you see with me is what you get. I don't come round and dress up things in pretty. No. I don't recommend that.
Question, after you spoke about the Attorney General, I said I would ask the question.
No, that's right. I'm not. I think it's a proper question because people, the Prime Minister is all powerful.
Yeah.
And can do it. Not really constrained by the law too. She's subject to the law also.
Yeah, but I was concerned about the number of cases coming to the court. I noticed that recently they have put in place a ticketing system when it comes to things like marijuana and so on.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering whether there is scope for doing more of that, where we have more ticketing and where we have the use of perhaps special justices of the peace so that they can minimize the number of cases going through the traditional court system, because I think it may be overload. So we might need to look at ways where we can minimize the workload,
right?
Using ticketing and so on.
My excellent point. I'm so glad that you called in, because this leads me to a couple of thoughts now. The ticketing system for criminal offences, I think you have to be careful what you ticket. For traffic offences, which we don't treat as criminal, because nobody, that should not stop you from getting a visa to travel to the USA if you want it. It doesn't carry the same level of a program as if you rob somebody or stole from them, So I think that we need to to improve our traffic management and reduce the number of traffic offences and so on that end up in the courts. We need to get the ticketing system operating more vibrantly. MTW has a key role to play in. I'm not sure. Hello?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh, because I heard some peeps coming in. I am not sure to what extent they are doing it, but we can improve. Certainly, taking the system, pleading guilty by post. Look, if I am caught speeding, I would expect that I should get something through the post telling me that on the blank day of blank, I was found driving on Culloden Road at 60 miles an hour or something, and if I plead guilty, tear off the bottom, take the bottom part in the box where it says guilty, and return that with $300 to the clerk of District A. I don't have to go to court. I send that back in, and we free up the court to do other things. So we need to look at that. But
what about, is there scope for is there scope for minor offenses, not serious theft, maybe like little pilferage? Is there scope for minimizing the involvement of the court in that and do it outside, perhaps using justice of the peace or something like that?
Well, we have using justices of the peace is a strategy that works very well in Jamaica and Cayman Islands, where their justices of the peace have a certain level of training and intellect that allows them to function as many judges or magistrates. Now, here you would have to deliberately embark upon a course of training for not our justices of the peace, but certain of our justices of the peace.
Right, so able to do it. You think that are qualified to do it. Everybody
so that is an area we need to study. I wanted to respond to you about your additional courts to take some, because you said the overload, which is true.
Yeah.
I could tell you that as chairman of the Law Reform Commission, only last month we gave instructions to a lawyer who is our research person to look at the statistics over the last several years to see what is the level of, what is the caseload in the magistrates' courts and the high courts for certain types of offense. Because we are thinking, we're not yet, we are going to be guided by the statistical and other evidence. So what we are coming to a position based on evidence. So we are thinking of a possibility of a regional court, let us say, catering to some of the southern parishes or the eastern parishes, perhaps St. Philip, Christchurch and St. George, one for St. Michael and some other area, and one for the north, with a jurisdiction higher than the magistrate, but lower than the high court judge.
Yeah.
Okay? So that everything doesn't have to go over $10,000, doesn't have to go to a magistrate. It will go to this intermediate court. But as I say, we are looking at, a paper is being prepared. It is being researched. When I had the meeting last week, State Council was able to say that she had figures for these years, and so we said, great, keep working at it and give us the analysis in due course. So that is one that my commission can help with. I'll tell you something else, that in the OECS and in Trinidad, they amended their rules for magistrates' courts in the middle part of the last decade, around 2015, 2016. The OECS is having favorable reports about the impact of what they have done on their system. I am not about that because Trinidad has a backlog and delay problem far worse than ours, and Jamaica too has a serious backlog problem. And so, but the OECS has made very good progress. It is not the function of the Law Reform Commission to draft rules, but there's something called the Rules Committee, headed by the Chief Justice. But we feel, with his consent, that we could help speed up the process. You know, one of the things that we will be recommending, if he says go ahead and do it, is that if a case is not started in the magistrate's court after 180 days, then unless there is some very extenuating circumstance that could be advanced, that case must be dismissed. And think of it. When the police come and arrest me today and charge me for something, surely they must have sufficient evidence to be able to bring a charge. Why should they not then be able 6 months down the road to start? You arrested me 6 months before on what? Must be evidence that you have. So we are saying if they can arrest you, they should be in a position to start the case. If you can't start it, tough. Case dismissed. That is the rule in the OECS, and it is working. Okay. But we are going to analyze it, and we're not going to do anything in a rush. But when the case is made, the case is watertight.
It certainly will.
Thanks very much, Sir David.
Thank you. Your intervention was very good.
And thank you, caller. That idea or concept certainly would put a fair amount of pressure on the justice system and all of the other tentacles that help to make it work to get things really, really going. But we got to take a break. Sir David, don't go away. We'll be right back.
The immunization unit will continue its COVID-19 vaccination program on Friday, that's today, July 29th at the David Thompson Health and Social Services Complex, Glebland, St. John, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. The Morris Bayer Polyclinic, Station Hill, St. Peter, from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. and the Brantford Tate Polyclinic, Black Rock, St. Michael, from 9:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. Vaccinations will also be administered at Building No. 2 Harbour Industrial Park, St. Michael, and Pegwell Community Church, Pegwell Boggs Main Road, Christchurch, both from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m, and at the Glebe Polyclinic, St. George, from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. The Pfizer, Sinopharm, and Johnson & Johnson vaccines will be available at the polyclinics and vaccination centres at the scheduled times only. Students 12 to 18 years may visit any of the locations listed to receive the Pfizer vaccine. Booster shots for the Pfizer and Sinopharm vaccines will also be available for eligible individuals who received their second vaccination 6 months ago or longer. Students 12 years and older are now eligible for the Pfizer booster. At present, second boosters are available for all individuals who are eligible 4 months after the first booster. Individuals receiving booster may present either their blue vaccination card or vaccination certificate and valid photo identification.
These school uniforms gonna have my pocket lean.
But mommy, you hear Nature's discount our working with free uniforms?
Will you hear that?
I saw it on CBC TV.
Woolworth and Nature's Discount present Back to School with Solar Ray and Zan in association with CBC. Every week, 3 lucky winners will be getting vitamins from Solar Ray or Zan, stationery from Kelmart, or school uniforms from Woolworth. Announced on CBC TV 8's Morning Barbados. There will also be 2 grand prizes prizes of a laptop, 5 uniforms, vitamins, and a backpack. Just spend $75 or more at any Nature's Discount or Woolworth to enter. Back to School with Solar Ray and Zan is sponsored by Woolworth, Nature's Discount, Kelmar.com, online consultancies, Solar Ray, Zan, Q100.7 FM, 94.7 FM, 98.1 The One, and CBC TVA. Get your entry today.
Come, girl. We going Nature's Discount and Woolworth today. We got to win this thing, you hear?
Crossfire!
Oh, God.
Crossfire! Crossfire!
All the massive! Step in line!
It's the Courtesy Garage 98.1 Soul Corruption. Sunday, July 31st at Kensington Oval. The biggest event in Kropover at the best price. Early bird tickets are gone. Regular ticket lovers and grounds $40. Free double use tickets now $50. Purchase your ticket and get a chance to win a Hyundai Kona electric vehicle the night before Grand Kaguman. It's Crossfire. Tickets available at www.ticketlinks.com. Visit www.ncf.bb for more information. It's the Courtesy Garage 98.4 Soul Corruption. Sunday, July 31st at Kensington Oval.
Q in the community continues to build a vibe, and we're taking that vibe to Prerogative House, Prerogative in St. George, Thursday, August 4th from 12 noon. Food and drinks and fun will be flowing. So come on out, meet up with your Q family and friends. Your DJs will be King Scorpion, Dr. Scotty, Ronnie Fresh, and Mikey. See you at Q on August 4th at Prerogative House, because Q is good for you. Q in the community is sponsored by Banks Beer, Guinness, Dasani Water, Coca-Cola No Sugar, Glacial Ice, Beat, Lucerna, Purity Bakeries, Barefoot Wines, Johnny Walker, Smirnoff Ice, Smirnoff Vodka, and Westerhall Rum. It's 14 minutes after 10. This is Let's Talk About It. We are talking about the justice system, and with us on the line we have Sir David Simmons. He's a wealth of information, along with the various proposals that have been put forward in previous years. He shared them with us, tabulated here, and we're seeing exactly where some of the delays arise. And we're also looking at how you can put things in place to make things better. We have some other callers on the line. Good morning and welcome. Let's talk about it. You're on the air.
Good morning, Miss Ma'am.
Good morning to you, Raul. Welcome.
And good morning, Mr. David. How are you doing, sir?
Morning, Raul?
Yes, sir.
You on the right station?
Don't worry, that, sir. Don't worry. You're not going to get through me with that.
I hear you on the opposition.
No. But I'm sure. So I deliver.
I am so glad to hear you, because
I subscribe to both of them. You see, over the years I've been doing this.
You're a wealth of information too. You know.
I know. Thanks, sir. You're doing all right?
Yep. So far, so well for old boy, you know, and holding on. Very heavy.
We are old boys.
Very heavy and living light, I suppose.
How's the Kropover going?
No. I can only observe that from a distance.
No, why want him play quickly is, I know Sir Ned is there with top off and bombs out and saying, and is so
don't let us get into that. Now let's do
okay, yeah, fine. That was only on the little side. That's plenty of side, yeah. All right. Let me hear something to say that I regret that I learned late that you were on the air. Had I known this, I would have been listening from the beginning. You know, I pick up on some of the lot of things you've said so far. I was on this VOB there. I was on that session the other day saying that the police leaving the training school should not start with less than a salary of $4,000. But I made one mistake. That's after all taxes were deducted. So in their hand, they should get $4,000. I made a mistake of saying $4,000, then to have the deductions. That was a little slip up. But well, I am saying they should have $4,000 after everything is done.
That's a substantial increase. I mean, we have to look at the impact on the economy and all this thing. Because I am not only calling for the police. I'm saying the nurses and the teachers.
I say that.
And we should have a special grade for those persons. They work beyond the call, and it should be recognized. When I was AG, we tried to bring the flexi time and so on to top them up. But I was saying the entry level needs more than $2,700 a month. That is really derisory.
Exactly. I thought of this for some time. I mean, like now, where everything's there straight, you can't have, and we need the police now more than ever. So I'm saying a cadre of about another 600 officers and salary starting at $4,000, bottom line, would be necessary for the requirement as it is demanding now. That's my take on that.
If you went up there in that kind of range, I am sure that you would probably hit your target of 1,500, which they say is the kind of establishment that the force should have. But they're down in 1,200 and things like that. You know, if you could get, I'm sure if you increase that salary to in a meaningful way, to take of the impact of tax and so on. So that the fellow has a proper take-home pay, I think you will attract enough to get you to where you say is your optimum establishment of 1,500.
Well said, well said. We have another caller on the line. Good morning, welcome, 18 minutes after 10. This is Let's Talk About It. You're on the air.
Hello, good morning, Mrs. Kimberly.
Welcome, sir.
And Mrs. Ward, Mr. Ward, I'm sorry, and Sir David.
Morning, good morning.
Morning.
Well, good morning to you, sir. I have one comment to make here, sir, so bear with me, please. It is sad, because I'm a contractor. I have carpenters, right? I would employ for the first week. And within a month, sir, they make what you said in terms of a police having that pay for entry look like nothing.
Correct.
Policemen put their lives on the line.
Right.
On the line, protecting us citizens. It is heartbreaking. I will repeat, heartbreaking. Because I have family that are police officers, and I know they're doing a wonderful job with the resources they have.
With the resources, yeah.
Yes, it would be great. And I think, is it in any way possible that it can go to Parliament and just let this be like more money for the cops in somewhere? Can legislation be passed that the police can be given more money? It would first of all, having policemen paid a better salary. Things like bribes and all those things will go through the window.
That is one of the key things. Mm-hmm. We've seen it here. We've seen where some officers have succumbed to the temptation of the filthy lucre, as they call it. Mm-hmm. Something like that should be put, in my view, to the social partnership, because the unions, on behalf of the nurses, the teachers, and the police, must have a say on the ground floor of discussions, right on the ground floor. Nothing imposed. Come in and join us in a discussion where we are looking to improve the lot of these people. Because don't forget, when you do that and you pull out for a special grade a few types of profession, then it could have a ripple effect. Other people are going to say, "Well, what about me?" So it may have to be of a general, what we used to call, I suppose they still call it that, regrading and reclassification exercise, where you regrade the whole public service and reclassify jobs and so on. But I do not believe that the other parts of the public service will fight against giving those three professions monetary recognition by way of substantial increases in their basic pay. But I may be wrong, but I throw it out. I'm not saying that we can afford it right now, but we must commit to doing it as soon as this country can afford it.
Although I don't like linking the remuneration of public officers to the avoidance of bribery. Bribery is something that we should not be tolerated and in any form. If we think a public officer is worthy of good pay, then pay him or her. We leave out the bribery part.
I understand Raul had another contribution that he wanted to make. Go right ahead, Raul.
Sure.
My humblest apology to Mr. Alitola. You're not in any way trying to know me. I regard you too, sir. So, morning to you. All right, so David, expungement. In the justice system, there's an avenue for reformation and ultimately expungement, and it should be done particularly, etc. What is your take or your finding as regarding expungement of convictions, etc.? And I regard you, sir, again. Thank you.
Well,
hold on.
I don't like to speak about everything I did, but I think this is one of the things I'm pretty proud of. Around 1996, I brought a piece of legislation called Rehabilitation of Offenders Act, and that was designed to expunge criminal records. Well, there were certain types of offense that were excluded, murder and well, you would always put in treason because it goes, but it never happens. Those kinds of things were excluded. The legislation has now helped a tremendous number of persons, and I think it is time for it to be revisited, because it's not every type of murder that has been reduced. But I don't think it takes account, as I can remember, it doesn't take account of racial murder has been reduced to manslaughter and the person has paid his debt to society. It will allow other offences to be expunged, but not that. So that's something we have to look at. The Law Reform Commission is currently it's on our agenda for this fiscal year as one of the projects that we'll undertake. The critical thing about expunging a record is to analyze the issue in such a way that you pay careful attention again to the rights of victims now and their families. It's all well and good for us to say that, you know, if a person has paid his debt to society, his conviction should be expunged. Hold 1 second for me, please. No, it was somebody coming outside, but my wife will leave with that. Thanks. It's all well and good to say we can expunge that record. Fine. But what does it, how will it affect the person who has been the deceased family? Have they come around to accept and forgive, to say, okay, he paid his debt to society, and this is 20 years ago, he's gone straight, he hasn't committed any other crimes and so on. We forgive. We may never forget, but we forgive. You can go ahead and expunge. So I think that will be the sticking point, but we will, as a Reform Commission, at how other countries approach that particular issue and make our recommendation. The recommendation should go before the end of this year to the Attorney General.
Thank you for your contribution. I hope that helps you a bit. 26 minutes after 10. Good morning. Welcome. Let's talk about it. You're on the air.
A blessed good morning to you, Kimberly.
Good morning, Saitomia.
To your co-host.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
to Sir David.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you this morning?
Not bad for an old boy.
Yes, retired but not retired.
Retired
retired, but not retired.
R-E-T-Y-R-E-D.
Hey.
I put on new tires.
Right.
Go on again.
I know. So long as your bread is working, you are in there. I am getting such a wealth of experience, understanding about the law from this conversation that you're having with listeners. It's an eye opener for me, because so many times the Attorney General are being blamed for so many things, and coming out of the conversations you're having, it seems that as though he's limited. More powers are given to the commissioner. So
in operational matters,
right.
Attorney General can have no say in how operations of the police force are conducted.
Right. So bearing that in mind, it will be expected of the commissioner to put more force into the operational matters. I would say that. I'm not sure if I'm going right.
No, they determine how they will do their operation.
Right.
That is left to the commissioner and his senior management and people who advise him, and they determine what they will do and how they will do it. What I'm saying is that the politician, in the shape of an attorney general, cannot tell them what they must do and how to do it.
Okay. And my next question, and because I know these persons that I'm going to speak about now would have been there when you was Attorney General. What about the special police? What is significant of a special police as opposed to an ordinary police? What's the significance of a special police? Because
special constable.
Special constable.
Yeah, well, I saw the debate recently, or the call recently, for them to be fully integrated in the force.
Right.
They are just their training is not quite as intense as a full-fledged policeman. And so they're not given the same level of responsibility and powers as a policeman. But if they've been out there for 4 or 5 years doing the job, they know it. And all you need to do,
some of them say 20 years.
Yeah, right.
Well, I mean, that's
all
a long
you need
time.
to do, they're slipping through the cracks, because there must surely be a system, or I would like to see a system. I don't know if they have it, where, let us say, after 3 years, you have done well, we review your performance, and what other training is necessary to assist you in qualifying to become a full-fledged policeman, we give you.
Right, I agree. I'm in total agreement with that. Because you can't tell me that I've been a special constable for 20 years. I haven't learned anything.
No.
I have seen a special constable, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but this is what I've seen with my eyes: a special constable having a gun. So I mean, if a special constable could find himself in a position to carry a gun, then why can't you be integrated into the regular force? Do some training. I don't think they need to spend all of that time as a special constable. That's the truth. I think it's being
I think if we're not careful, we're creating two types of police officer, and it's not right. It's not right.
Agreed. Some very interesting points coming out here as well. 10:30 on the money. We have another caller before we take the break. One more. Oh, sorry. We have to take a break. We'll be right back.
Watch Crop Over straight from your home with MCTV pay-per-view. Sign up for the courtesy Pick of the Crop finals on July 29th and enjoy the masterful art of social commentary. Pay-per-view cost is $58.75. Call us at 228-6288 or email customer services at cbc.bb to book today. Who will be the big winner? Watch all the action at home with MCTV.
Sunday, July 31st, it's what everyone's talking about. It's the Courtesy Garage, 98.1 The War, Soca Ruction, 8 p.m. at the Kensington Oval. Your favorite artists, door prizes, and pure ruction. Tickets start at $30, available from advertised box offices and ticketlinks.com. Your ticket gives you a chance to win a brand new Hyundai Kona. Compliments Courtesy Garage, but you must be at the event for a chance to win. Get your tickets now before it's too late. Who's it gonna be? The top 20 People's Choice winner performing live at the Courtesy Garage, 98.1 The Wall, Soca Ruction. Runcheon, Kensington, Sunday, July 31st.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness advises the public that there will be adjustments to the operating times for the COVID-19 testing sites on Monday, August 1st, Kadooment Day, and Tuesday, August 2nd, Emancipation Day. As a result of the Grand Kadooment route, which will be from Warren St. Michael to the Busso roundabout and back, the Eunice Gibson Polyclinic, situated in Warrens, will be closed on August 1st. It will remain closed on August 2nd. The site at the Wilde Gymnasium, St. Michael, will also be closed on August 1st, but will reopen for testing on August 2nd from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Queen's Park Steel Shed, Constitution Road, St. Michael, will operate on August 1st from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. and will be closed on August 2nd. The Ministry of Health and Wellness reminds members of the public that the Brantford Tate Polyclinic at Black Rock, St. Michael, does not conduct testing on weekends nor public holidays.
Just imagine you and 3 friends jamming to soca, golden soca, on August 6th at Ballpark. It could be you. Just listen from July 21st to July 30th, and when you hear this, golden soca, golden soca, golden soca, call and answer a simple question. Answer correctly, and you're entered into the final draw to win 4 tickets plus welcome drinks and snacks at Golden Soca. Draw takes place on August 3rd. QFM and Golden Soca, giving you the chance to be a winner.
This year I coming out to have fun.
Q in the community continues to build a vibe, and we're taking that vibe to Prerogative House, Prerogative in St. George, Thursday, August 4th from 12 noon. Food and drinks and fun will be flowing. So come on out, meet up with your Q family and friends. Your DJs will be King Scorpion, Dr. Scotty, Ronnie Fresh, and Mikey. See you at Q on August 4th at Prerogative House, because Q is good for you. Q in the community is sponsored by Banks Beer, Guinness, Dasani Water, Coca-Cola No Sugar, Glacial Ice, Beat, Glucerna, Purity Bakeries, Barefoot Wines, Johnny Walker, Smirnoff Ice, Smirnoff Vodka, and Wester Hall Rum. It is 24 minutes before 11 o'clock. Good morning and welcome. Let's talk about it. You're on the air.
Good morning, madam.
Yes, sir. Good morning. How are you today?
Not too bad.
What have you got for us? What have you got for us today?
To yourself and to your guests. Have I heard you right in saying that you also have Sir David with you?
Yes, that is correct, sir. Yes.
However, it has been recorded Sir David ICJ never lost a case, and I hope Sir David don't mind when I make reference to his good self as a walking legal encyclopedia and luminary. However, madam, there is a true saying, justice delayed is justice denied. And regardless of how many judges are appointed on the bench, in my humble opinion, there would only be an improvement in the judicial system if there is an improvement with the prosecution. There are too many requests made by the prosecution for an adjournment, making a mockery of the justice system. And it's, in my opinion, they should revisit the bail system, whereas bail should not be given, or let me be more explanatory, bail should be given to suit the gravity of the offense. No one should be given bail for murder. I recall, madam, that it was questioned on the floor of Parliament, and the then Prime Minister said he never knew bail was given for murder. The problem, in my opinion, where criminal law is concerned. The criminal lawyer in the case of murder, there would have to be an open question. Is there a set free? Is there a set fee for murder? As I once heard a lawyer charge a mother of an accused $43,000 to plead a case. I also recall it has been alleged that lawyers advise that if you want justice, keep away from the courts. I wait for your response.
Sir David?
Sir David is
yeah, okay. Well,
keep away from the court.
Thanks for calling, Mr. Keith. I hope you are keeping well. I recognize your voice. I've known you for about 40 years now. First of all, let me get something out of the way. It's not true that I never. Well, you said never lost a case. I know what you mean. That my cases were not overruled. They had. I can't remember. Think there. God. I know I wrote 104 judgments, but there were 5 cases I think went to the Privy Council, including about 3 murders. I was never overruled by the Privy Council. About 8 or 9 went to the CCJ, and I was only overruled in 2. So in all my cases, I was only overruled twice. And that was by the CCJ, and strangely enough, those 2 happened after I was told by Prime Minister Thompson that he was not extending my tenure. And so it happened between January and April, 2010. And I suppose I was a little bit casual in what I wrote and gave the CCJ a chance to overrule me. But no, I was overruled twice. Apart from that, never overruled. Now, adjournments by the prosecution. This question of adjournments has to be, I think, approached in a balanced way. Yes, the prosecution come and apply for adjournments, and we looked at one of the things that Justice Graves said. They say the file is lost or the file is missing. That should never happen. There must be technology introduced within the police service that enables the police at every day to know where a case file is, can be tracked on. We can do it. It's done in other jurisdictions. It can be done here. I don't know if they're doing it yet, but I'm saying it can be done. Usually, the requests for adjournments tend to be more from the defense than from the police. And therefore, the magistrate in the middle must ensure that he has control of the case and limit as far as possible requests for adjournments. Now, everybody accepts that when the person first comes to court, it is fair that where he's pleading not guilty, he will apply for an adjournment because he has not had a chance properly, to use the language of lawyers, to instruct his counsel, either tell him what has happened, and of course, from the point of view of the pocket, and to pay the lawyer. So he will apply for an adjournment. You may have one other occasion, but I think, quite frankly, 2 adjournments are max, no more. And that if it's 2 for the defense, it should be 2 for the prosecution. So I am calling for greater control of adjournments. I know it happens in the High Court now with the judges, and I talked about the additional ones we created through the Judicial Appointments Committee in 2019 There are five judges doing criminal cases now. Now, this is far from what happened in the past, even during my time when we had 2 courts. So the government has responded in a very significant way to speed up the process.
Sir David? Okay, I think somehow we lost Sir David in mid-sentence. Let's see if we can get him back in. Sir David, are you there? Yes, good.
Hello?
Continue. Yes.
And they have a system of contract prosecutors.
Mm-hmm.
They can probably do it another 2 or 3, and I'm sure that if the country can afford them, they will get the additional prosecutors.
What is your take, Sir David, on cases that have been dragged on for some near 10 years?
Which ones?
Without conclusion. And these without conclusion.
There are 1 or 2 that I've read about which were clearly cases where things had fallen through the cracks.
Mm-hmm.
But generally, you can't justify. Let's get out of the way. You can't justify keeping somebody on remand in prison or keeping somebody on remand out of prison pending the hearing of his case for that kind of inordinate period. I know it happens in other jurisdictions. We cannot rest our laurels on what is happening elsewhere.
True that.
No, we have a duty to tackle the situation, and I am satisfied that an attempt is being made to come to grips with that. What I think we need to do is to make greater use of technology, and have the system where as soon as a man is remanded, that goes into the computer in the registry. The Chief Justice's personal assistant or whoever, he should have it, or the Chief Justice through him, I mean. Certainly the Superintendent of Prisons, and every 6 months, 3 months, 6, we can fix a time, but no more than 6 months. That thing should come up, and for a status report to be entered in the case adjourned for hearing or case further adjourned, but they will work it out. But I think we have to track these files and these cases more carefully in the future. We can best do this, I believe, not necessarily being a guru on the technology, but having a nodding acquaintance with what the computer is capable of doing. I think we can improve our system where we can track these things. You know, another thing that we have found, you've seen it over the years, people are convicted, they're ordered to pay $1,000 in 6 months, or you serve 2 years. 8 years down the road, the fellow comes back before the court on another charge, and when they check, for 8 years he paid the fine, and he should have been locked up ever since.
Wow. Now
that, again, should not have happened. When the days when we had the order books and the magistrates had courts, the clerks had to enter up these things in order books, we had that, but there was no follow-up. But there must be a follow-up, and the follow-up can be done by technology. Let us create a position of 2 people. You don't need anybody other than a person, a clerk, typist, type of person, somebody at that level. You don't need anybody who is high-powered and highly paid to do this. Give them the technology, make sure that there are wizards with it, and set it up. There are programs available where you can follow these things, and that will help us. All Graves complained this week or last week about a man on a gun charge, and he should have been dealt with years before. But use of technology will enable the public officers to keep a closer track on A, people in the system who, if we don't do something about them, will languish, and B, follow up with the payment of fines and so on.
Okay. We have another caller on the line. Good morning. Welcome. Let's talk about it. You're on the air.
Good morning, Kimberly.
Welcome, sir.
And your guest, and Sir David.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yes, I have a few questions for Sir David. I'll ask them and then I'll put them and let him speak. So, David, in 1994, when you were trying to wrestle the government from the DLP, you said
I've missed you.
I think I've missed. I think we have a little bit of difficulty there, but I want to come in at this point because I think Olu had another question he wanted to pose.
Sure.
Yes, I wanted to direct your attention, Sir David, to the current spate of gun crime, and to ask you, if we were to bring you back, what would you do to what would you do to help stem this flood of gun crimes in the country?
Well, that really, I would have a very limited role, Olu, because I would not be out there searching for them. I wouldn't be down at the port or wherever the guns are coming through, or through the courier services and so on. So my role would be limited. We have to tackle this thing first at the source. When President Clinton came here in 1997, I was appointed by the heads to chair that part of the committee that was presenting U.S. persons and Caribbean persons to deal with proposals for the justice sector. One of the decisions coming out of that visit by President Clinton was that America committed to helping the region better monitor the manufacture and export of firearms out of the United States. I can't tell you whatever happened with it since I left. I left in 2001. But it is there in the document called Blueprint for Prosperity or something like that. I have a copy in my study. So we have to get to the source. We have to develop very close international contacts. And we have a treaty that was signed about 1997-98, Mutual Legal Assistance Treaty with the Americans, that we can collaborate and share information. And Special Branch and these people must use that treaty to develop their international cooperation links, to get information, as we have been getting recently, if you read between the lines, with people being convicted in the States for sending guns to Barbados, or being convicted in possession of guns destined for Barbados. So international cooperation is essential. Then strengthening, as this government has done, the port, surveillance at the port and airport one. Because when I did the Commission of Inquiry in Trinidad and Tobago, one of the things that we learned then was how people break down guns, and they send them in, as what's the word? Disassemble, if that's a word.
Individual parts.
Individual parts, right? But stored in a fridge, in the engine part of a fridge, or somewhere in the stove, all kinds of things. So I'm sure that the equipment that they have down at the port can help with that. Now that's at the level of detection, because we have to get your detection rates improved to tell you where the guns are coming from, and the guns are in Barbados. At the level of the judge has nothing to do with that. When it comes to us, then, it is a question of sending the message via the sentence. Now, there are two approaches. I really don't think that there's a lot of room for rehabilitation, to consider rehabilitation when you're sentencing for gun crimes. I think that the predominant objective of the criminal justice system at that stage is one of deterrence. So I did it. I do not regret what I did, because I see that the lady who reports for the Nation referred to a case that I did, and said that they use it all the time. He spoke the usual case of Bavell, Jerome Bavell, where I set out guidelines from the Court of Appeal for the judges to follow, because we had situations where some judges felt that you give a slap on the wrist, probation, and $200 payable in 6 months, and that kind of lenient sentence for guns. And I changed all of that. I criticized the judge who had done it, and I gave a set of guidelines, and I put some stiff penalties, because I wanted to do two things: send a message to the offender specifically to deter him, what we call specific deterrence, and then also to send a message to would-be offenders thinking that if you come, you can take a long sentence, 10 years or whatever I imposed at the time for the particular offense. But that is what is called general deterrence, when you are sending the message that you're hoping the society or people in the society who are like-minded will be deterred from trying it. But I didn't consider rehabilitation or reform. That was, well, when they got to prison for the long time, they could deal with that part of it. But my thing was to deter, because I think I wrote it in a judgment, one of my judgments. I may be wrong, I saw myself and the judiciary as being necessary parts of the law enforcement process. No point you telling the police, go and do some work, contacts, get the investigation done, find the fella, charge him, bring him before the courts, and after all that, I give a slap on the wrist and tell him go back out. No way, not for guns, no way. I felt that the judiciary, as part of the law enforcement process, had to support the efforts of the police in what they were doing, and make no apologies for it.
Well said. What about this question of video evidence? We have a plethora of cameras all over the place, but from what I understand, our laws have not been amended to make provision for the use of video evidence in court. Can you speak to that, sir?
Only to tell you that that is on the agenda of the Law Reform Commission. It was discussed 2 weeks ago. We are bringing in due course, hopefully we can get it done later on this year, or early next year, evidence modernization bill based on the model sent to us by the Commonwealth Secretariat. And that will be one of the things, dealing with a variety of things, and anonymous witnesses and vulnerable witnesses and a whole host of things, and that will be one. How you get in video evidence into a case. But that's a very good question. What I could tell you that we also need to do, the law already provides for it, is to ensure that Section 73, I think it is, of the Evidence Act really operates, and that is to say that we are, as a matter of routine, recording evidence taken from persons who are charged with offences when they're in custody. We had the technology brought down here during the time I was Attorney General. That has probably gone out of vogue, and there will be more contemporary technology that can be used. But we need to do that because it will stop the criminals from alleging police brutality. I heard about that when I first joined the bar in June 1970. And all criminals charged with serious offences make the allegations that they were beating the police, do this, do that, put the head down in the toilet and flush it, all kinds of things. Nothing has changed. New. If you record, I mean with video, not necessarily audio, let the fellow's face be seen. You record what his story is in answer to the questions put. You know, it has been shown by scientific statistical analysis that a greater proportion of guilty pleas eventuate as a result of the use of video recording of statements. And so I don't know what it does. It's something it does to the psyche of the criminal, where he coughs and he admits, and then it prevents him from coming later and changing the plea and saying not guilty. You got him on tape. See, so we need to get that, and I would like I hope the government will spend some money. I outfitted the station up here when I was Attorney General above me in St. George with a room. I think whole town has one where you could do these kinds of things. Those things are necessary. I think they will contribute.
I agree. We've also reached the era of body cams, which also assists in improving the either the innocence or the culpability of the officers present at the time.
Very well said. Yeah.
So I laud your efforts. I've looked at the list. I've reviewed the 100 recommendations that's been there. I am saddened, by the way, that some of these recommendations, which should come forward with the technology that we have today, are not yet in place. But I am still hoping and trusting, Sir David, that we see them come to fruition, because it's truly a menace right now where we see persons repeat offenses whilst on bail. And that is the part that is most painful to the victims. And as you so rightly said, the victims must and their families must be taken into consideration.
Just one final point before I go, and it is that I would like to see some movement on plea bargaining too, because I think the society is ready for that. I know it was tied to a sentencing consideration with the maximum sentencing indicators and so on, but I think we could have bargaining was one of the recommendations of the retreat in 2007, and other countries have it.
Okay. Sir David, I hope that you would be willing to lend us some more of your time on another occasion. It certainly was a pleasure having you with us. I didn't even get into the topic of judicial review in terms of serious criminal matters, but that's another story for another day. But I want to thank you for sharing some time with us. Olu?
Yes, thank you, Sir David. This has been a very enlightening experience for us, and I'm sure for our listeners as well.
Oh, well, thank you all for your kind sentiments. I wish you to know that any time that I am available to give the public the benefit of my experience and any little expertise that I may have, I'm willing to do it. I got a lot out of this country. It did a lot for me, and I am always happy to give back. Thank you all ever so much.
And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. This has been Let's Talk About It. Our guest this morning was Sir David Simmons, former Chief Justice and Attorney General. And I had by my side a very steady Mr. Olu Waldron, and our technical team, our technical director, Mr. Cameron Collins, and our producer was Mr. Sherwood McCaskey. I'm Kimberly Skeet. I want to wish you guys a very safe crop over weekend. Pickety crop is tonight. Let's wait with bated breaths and see exactly who would be crowned king or queen.